It started with a Gig Week. I'm sure as many of us know what Gig is about, a community of innovators, makers, and change makers across the world. And the Gig Week started exactly 2 weeks from today. It was on a Thursday. Uh, if I'm right, no, it was right on a Friday. So it was a Friday and a Saturday. And it was made up of keynote addresses from the Gig executives team. There were presentations, workshops, exhibition, and an opportunity for networking. So I took notice of some of the workshops and presentations. There was a workshop on inclusive data economy, community connectivity. There was another one on citizen innovation in crisis. And Matthew Lubari from African Maker Spaces also did a presentation on maker spaces in conflict affected communities. For me, I would have loved to see a lot more African participation, and there's especially members from the African Maker Spaces. I must mention that there was a huge delegation from Tanzania. And Witness, I see you on the call. She came with a large team from GIZ Tanzania. There was also another team from Ethiopia who made a grand entry into DCS Gig Week. So these are some pictures from the event. This picture is for this picture below was for the first day of the event, and this one was for the second day, and a couple of pictures from the participation and exhibition. These are some of the workshops that were organized. So the attendees were divided into groups, and you had to choose the workshop that you felt was attracted to you. And so these are sections of some of the attendees at some of the workshops and exhibition from some of the participants at this year's Gig gathering. At the gathering too, there was the announcements of the uh, Gig Fund. And as we mentioned the other time, as many as 4 members from the African Maker Spaces had their entries selected and to receive funding for the projects that they submitted. The next event was a Republica, and that was quite an overwhelming experience. And I think it will be best captured by these videos that were shared by Republica themselves. They are each less than a minute long, so if I could just share them briefly and then make a few comments on it. Um, can you see my screen? Can you see my video?
No, it's not on.
No, we still see the slides.
Okay, so just a minute. I can share this. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Yeah, so this is the video for the first day of the event, and then I can share the second day as well. Right, and then we have the final video for Republica. Right, thank you. So these are pictures that capture the 3-day events, and I'm not sure I would have been able to say it any better than this, but it was a quite interesting being part of the makerspace track or the section, which was quite a huge space, and seeing all the exhibitions from the various participants, from 3D printing to um, make a tech exhibiting sewing and a couple other things that were shown. It's for me, it's the biggest innovation gathering that I've ever experienced, and I think it will be a good template for what we intend to do eventually as Africa Maker Spaces in terms of organizing events. But back to my slides. In between the Republica and the Open Source Hardware Summit, we had an ecosystem tour where we went to 4 places, but I've captured 3 here. We went to Motion Lab, Dena, and the Hack Maker Space. So Motion Lab is like a big co-working space for makers where based on subscription, they have access to a co-working space, access to tools from various forms, so from CNCs to laser cutters to 3D printers to all the tools you need in a wood workshop. It's just readily available. And once you subscribe to it, you have access to use these tools. And then there was a presentation by Dena, which is like the German energy transition team of a sort, and they are working towards transitioning to green energy. What was interesting is they are a program that they've set up for emerging energy startups. So they have what they call the Set 100, which it's a competition where people have to submit entries, and then the top 100 entries are selected and given global publicity. And out of that, they select the top 5, give them cash rewards, and also grant them access to angel investors and people who have interest in investing into some of these energy startups. Um, they promised to share the presentations with us, and I think at an appropriate time we can share that with the team, because what was clear was that the African entries into these competitions are not that strong. There are bigger or much larger submissions from other continents, and it was not really a good news to hear, especially being aware that a lot of people who are working in the energy and climate space, it will be a good opportunity for them to take advantage of this and submit whatever startups that they have for possible funding. And then we went to the Zane Hack Maker Space, which is like a community-owned maker space, where again they have about 400 subscribers who pay monthly um, fees to keep the place running. Again, I see this as a very good model that some maker spaces in Africa can adopt, especially when we see funding as one of the major hurdles for the things we do in our spaces. It's a model that has worked for them because they keep expanding, they keep acquiring new spaces, and there is an active community involvement, even with the design of the place, the projects that they run, and a diversity of things they do. There's a place for music, there's for fun, there's a place for hackathons, a place for core things that we do in maker spaces. So it was a good experience to hear from them and how they get the place running without any external funding. So these are some pictures from Motion Lab. This is a picture from Dena, which is be at the Europe campus in Berlin. Another picture from Motion Lab, and this is from Prusa Lab, which was one of the places that we visited as well. My last section is the Open Source Hardware Summit, and I have to say a big thank you to Andrew for buying the ticket for me to attend this. It was something that I was very interested in participating, especially with my history on open science hardware, and it was a pleasant experience. The first day was a day for talks and presentations where people presented some of the open source initiatives that they are running. I took notice of 3 of them, which is the one speech was on making open hardware manufacturing beautiful. There was another on making emergency kits, and then open source batteries for stationary emergency storage. Again, what I noticed from this was the clear absence of African representation. I mean, OSHWA is a global body, but a lot of the presentations and submissions were from people in Europe, the United States, and a few other places. And so out of that, when they opened the call for us to submit talks for the conference session, I quickly put up something on building a thriving ecosystem for open source hardware in Africa. And I thought this was essential because maker spaces and other communities within the innovation space in Africa require some publicity and need some partnership. And for that to happen, there is a need to create a thriving space where they feel their works and things that they are doing are recognized, or they can have the opportunity to build up if they are exposed to some of these conferences and sessions. And so I had about 20 to 30 minutes to talk about this and answered a few questions. Yeah, and then so for the credit for the picture here goes to Andrew while I was delivering my short talk on making open source, creating a thriving ecosystem for open source hardware in Africa. He captured this. But these are some pictures from the speech, and then this is a picture from this is Sad, a gig member who was also at the Open Hardware Summit exhibiting some of his innovations. And the last picture is also another presentation being led by one of the attendees. Yes, so my takeaways from the 2 weeks of overwhelming experience is for us to continue to build strong networks with existing global bodies like GIG, which is already a partner, OSHWA, GIZ, considering that we're able to support a team from Tanzania to be part of this event. It will be good that we build strong connections with these bodies. And then with program design, I mean, having observed the scale and scope of Republica, of GIG, I think that it provides a good template for what we want to do eventually. And I also believe that an active attendance or a representation of African maker spaces at some of these events will give us the visibility that we need, and could also take some inspiration from the GIG Fund, which some members of the African maker spaces have been fortunate to benefit from, could be something that we can look at eventually. So without speaking much, these are a few things that I captured and was able to put together within the few days that I arrived in Ghana. Yeah, thank you. Yes, so I'll take a few questions. I see Andrew's hand up.
That was a great summary, Sam. Thank you very much indeed for putting that together and showing some of the photos. I just want to recognize that for the first couple of events, Witness, who is on the call with us today, was also able to attend. So I would like to invite you, Witness, if you want to say anything about your experience in Berlin, and the GIZ delegation that went there. Are you able to speak, Witness, please?
Yes.
Great, we can hear you.
Much has been said by Sam, and with the Tanzanian delegation that we attended, they were also happy to connect with different people, including Andrew. Some have connected with you directly, including Mercy and Joely, who I think they couldn't attend today. But all in all, what Sam has presented is also what we learned from the Republica and the Geek, and also about the ecosystem tour, which I attended only the Motion Lab. And it was a great experience to see how they organized their makerspace, and also about the expansion to move to a bigger space where people can easily access it. So yeah, I would just add on that. Not much to add more.
Had either of you been to Berlin before?
Yes,
No.
I've been to Berlin before.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
was my first
I
time.
attended I
Which
attended
this was-
Republica in 2024.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
what just was sent to the middle of France as a maker in residency in a tiny village, hey?
Yeah,
Yes.
the maker in residency. Yeah. Was part of that. So the maker in residency scheme was a part of the Make project. And I'll put the link in the chat, which supported I think mainly African makers to travel to European makerspaces, and I think there were some Europeans who went to African makerspaces as well. One of the extraordinary things about the events in Berlin that Sam has presented is that there was a makerspace at this enormous 25,000 conference that is Republica, and that and the makerspace is busy the whole time. So you have Republica, you know, a lot of people bring their children, depending on the time of the holidays. So there was a space in the makerspace where Sam and others would work with children to make things, projects making computer mice or so on. Yeah, there was a full program of activities built into the main agenda of the conference. Sam, is there are there things that you think other than the low representation in the OSHWA summit, are there things that you personally are looking to try and achieve for the future of open hardware and open science in Africa, please? What
Absolutely.
you know, because this is a community that might be interested to help you.
Yes, absolutely. And I have to say, through Andrew, I met with Jason Griffey, who is like the head of the Open Science Hardware Association. Yes, so the I don't want to call it the dream, but the expectation is to set up a home for open source hardware that could capture everything and everything, including open science hardware in Africa, because as you've rightly said, I don't think the current setup encourages an active African participation. And considering the context in Africa in terms of opportunity, access, and a couple other things, it'll be good to set up an organization that reflects the current challenges in Africa and also the opportunities therein. So yeah, the dream is to eventually set up a home that will be more complementary to the African makerspaces that we have it, but this time for open source hardware. Jason asked the question, so I don't know if I can continue with that. Yes, I think there are a lot of inherent opportunities for African makerspaces. I met a team from the Seed, I've forgotten their full name, but I picked up contact. They are willing to help African makerspaces or makers in Africa leading initiatives to incorporate AI into the initiatives that they are running. There was another gentleman whose name I've forgotten, but I have his contact. He's willing. He has a set of knowledge data that he would like to share with the team for capacity building. And there are people who are willing to cooperate or collaborate with makers running initiatives in Africa in terms of how it aligns with what they are doing as well. I think in the coming days, I can put together the contacts that I made and share it with the team so we can see how. Thank you, Seed Studio. Thank you. So I can do that and then we pick it up from there. But there are a lot of opportunities for what the makers are doing in Africa and what is happening across the world. Thank you.
And I would suggest the OSHWA community, the Open Source Hardware Association, which is a registered NGO, but not an association as such. It's it isn't really a membership organization. That a lot of their work is very closely focused on electronics, and electronics is very hard to do in African countries. So there is a potential business model, and I know there are a number of people working on it, for an open hardware community organization to be involved in supplying electronics components and equipment, even things like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis, but individual LEDs and so on, to the makerspace community, so that we can begin to create more complex products. Did you see Joseph's question, Sam? I think you did, didn't you? You spoke about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions in the last 5 minutes? I'm sorry I jumped in, but I had such a great experience with you, Sam. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very happy to share my experience here in ESA Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, ESA Makerspace. So actually here we've been working on some project for the public project. It's an equipment for civil engineers. We've been working on it, yes. And now we are also working on a side project, which is called a valve assembly tool. That we detected the needs that local garages, local mechanicals are manifesting. So we've decided to make this tool that will help all the local mechanicals around the world in order that they can make it. So of course, during making the project we faced a lot of challenges. In the electronic, there is an electronic side on our project. So we are actually looking how we can convert electricity into magnetic or integrate in our project. So we are actually working on it. And we are also looking how we can find materials, local materials, local materials for our tool. Yeah, that's what we are actually looking for. Yeah, and we are also thinking. Yeah. Yeah, and I also have a question. I have a question for dear Samuel. I'm really interested about your experience when you shared your project. When you during the conference, what question has impacted you? What question did the people ask you and that impacted you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
thank
helpful.
you. So personally, I did not lead any workshop or do any presentations at the workshop at the summit. So I did not particularly have to answer a question, but in terms of my observation of what I felt about the whole thing, it's, like I mentioned, it was quite an overwhelming experience looking at the scope of things that were on exhibition. It was a tech fair of a sort, but you could see things that cut across as many themes as you could think about. So maybe I'll use this as a caveat to answer Joe's question as well. There were things around circularity, emergency, sensing. There were simple things like sewing, things that are game related or fun related. So it was quite a wide range of things that we see in our daily space, rather than just a core tech thing, which would have made sense to people who are technologically inclined and things like that. But it was a space that anybody with little or no background in technology could appreciate as an event that reflects in their daily life. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, this is nice. Thank you. I really enjoyed the experience. Thank you.
Thank you, T.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I think we've been able to meet our timeline and we've been able to meet that timing. And I'll say a big thank you to Sam for putting this presentation together, because he just arrived in Ghana in Kumasi on Tuesday, and he had to quickly put together this presentation. Thank you very much, and thank you to you all. And also, there are a few old faces that I've seen here, or names that I've seen here. Mausi, I think I need to give a shout out to Mausi, Dawood, Tochuku, Amelio. I think these are all people that have been with us for a very long time, and it's good to see them here as well today. And also, thank you very much, Witness, for coming to support and also to share your experience with Sam and Andrew for representing Makerspace Africa. I'll say a big thank you to you all, and hope to see you again, and also continue the conversation on our WhatsApp platform, and also look out for updates from Andrew concerning the badge, that is the open badge on Green Skills. I'm sure there will be more details on it and be shared on the platform. And thank you very much once again, and see you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye,
Witness and
everybody.
GIZT promised to organize a meeting for us and the makerspaces in Tanzania. So if they could do that, I'll be grateful.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Have a nice day.